million lights, they flicker there. A million hearts beat quicker there. No skies are gray on the great wide way, 'cause that's the Broadway mellow.
Hey guys, thanks for clicking in. I'm Jason Crawford Samusui.
And I'm Patrick J. Golden.
And this is Backstage Banter. For this episode of Backstage Banter, we're going to be talking about The Women that is playing down at Spotlighters Theater until March 19th. Now, this production is directed by Fuzz Rourke, with a set design by Alan Zemla, and costume design by Andrew Malone, Amy Weimer, and Darcy Elliott. Now, some of you might be familiar with the 1939 film version of The Women starring Norma Shearer, Joan Crawford, and Rosalind Russell. But you might know that it was a play first, written back in 1936. The film version was directed by George Cukor, who many said was a woman's director. He directed a lot of female vehicles. And it's a classic. It's a great movie. It was a great vehicle for, Joan Crawford. That was one of her breakout roles. And it was funny, it was dramatic, it had everything that people wanted back in 1939. And though it's a dated piece, it works. It works nicely, and it worked very well on the stage. I was pleasantly surprised, and I'm glad that I got to see the stage version finally.
Yes, I was lucky enough to see the film version a while back, the one from the 30s. And even though it was a play before it was a movie, I did not know how it would translate well to stage, even though it already did. But this was really good. This was a pleasant surprise for me, I gotta say.
And it's very interesting because this is a very big show. And what I mean by big show is that it's a ton of people in the cast. It's like a cast of thousands. And those of you that are familiar with the Spotlighter stage know that it's an intimate space. It's in the round, as I've mentioned before, and it is very intimate. But Fuzz Rourke worked it out. He worked it out nicely with I'm going to say at least 20 people in this cast. I could be wrong, give or take an actress. But he worked it out nicely. He managed to get them on and off smoothly. Now, when it came to scene changes, some of the scene changes, they were entirely too long for me. It didn't really mess up the pacing of the actors, but the scene changes were entirely too long. Not to say that the set design was not good, because Alan Zemla usually does do a good job.
Right. And that's the thing when it comes to this, is with a space like Spotlighters, it's in the round, it's small, it's intimate, so I mean, you're not going to have big set walls painting the backdrop, so you're just going by set pieces. But
and his set pieces were smart.
Right. And they were, and the changes did take longer than normal, I guess, or what everyone aims for, right? But they made sure when the lights came up, you knew where you were in the story.
Right.
Like there was no question about what was happening, where it was taking place.
It's like
scene. So
it's like the scene changes were long, but they needed to be
exactly
that long.
Right.
And I believe the show ran almost 3 hours. 3 hours
just
long.
About.
And again, that's not to say that the pacing was off, because the pacing was there. These actresses had it. Fuzz Rourke, had them moving and everything. It's just a lot of show.
A lot of show.
It's a lot of show. It's a lot of words, but that's how plays go. And so set design all around I thought was very good. The set pieces that he did choose were very good. They fit nicely on the stage. They told the story as well. They added to the story instead of taking away from it.
Right. The set pieces, there was only one I had a problem with, and I believe you mentioned it in your written review. Mm-hmm. And I got to give it to him. There really wasn't a way around it, but it was the bathtub / shower.
Oh, yes.
Which
is a big part of the play.
It is. And the people that were behind that, because of the way the curtain was,
may have had some trouble.
Yeah, it was a limited view.
Right.
But again, there was really not much they could. So they did the best they could with that. Right. But otherwise, that was my only negative thing to say about it. Otherwise, the sets were great.
Everything worked nicely.
Yeah.
And that going into the production side of it, the costume design. Costumes for this production were spot on, I think. It's that 1939 Art Deco, these were high society women with gowns and, very nice dress suits and what have you. Andrew Malone and his team, Amy Weimer and Darcy Elliott, they did a fantastic job with every single character costume. Down to the gym suits that there was a one part where they were in a spa and working out. They had matching suits, gym uniforms, and the gowns. The gowns were just great. They were fantastic. Now I don't know, the actresses bought them in because some of them they fit beautifully on these actresses, and so I'm not sure if they bought them in or even if they did. The costumes were spot on and took you to that time. The elegance, because they were high society ladies. The elegance of it, the flowing gowns on them. I really enjoyed seeing, these costumes.
Right. I gotta say, for Malone, Weimer, and Elliot, I haven't worked with them before, so I don't know if they build their costumes from the ground up.
We've seen a lot
of their work. So I'm not sure if they build their costumes from the ground up or are able to find them and put them together. But really, every character from the gowns, the society, down to the hairdressers.
Right.
Their costume, and like you said, in the spa, the gym workout uniforms, the costumes fit perfectly. They looked great. Everyone looked comfortable in them.
Yes,
there was nothing that was too big or baggy. There was nothing way too tight. They were perfect for every actress, every individual on that stage.
So kudos to Malone and his team. That very good job on that. So let's get into some of the performances. So in this one, we had a group of ladies that this story kind of revolved around, especially one in particular who was Mary Haynes, or Mrs. Stephen Haynes, as she was called, played by Michelle Guyton. I think she did a great job with this. I think she did spot on. This character was the kind of woman that I can't explain exactly, but it was that 1939 mentality where women were women, men were men. Men did certain things that women just accepted, but this character didn't accept it per se.
Right.
She really didn't. So she was kind of going against the grain, but with a very gentle, ladylike attitude, which is it's very hard to balance that with this character. But Michelle Guyton, I think, did a bang up job doing so.
Absolutely. I mean, and like you said, when it came to the time of the piece, not only did women accept. And that's another poignant part of the show, is that the women, friends of other women friends, would use that. It's like, you're not going to change your position. And they would, not harp, but they would make your life a little miserable.
And they would gossip about anything and anyone. I believe the advertising or the tagline for this is actually, it's called The Women, but it's all about the men. So, and it truly is. Which is also interesting because, as a side note, not one male is in this production, or the film when they filmed it, but not one gentleman is in this production. You only hear about them, but it still works. Everything was.
And funny things each time, both male directors.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But Michelle Guyton did a really good job with that, because, like I said, I like this character because she did know what, for lack of a better term, a woman's place was, but she didn't really accept it.
No.
And she showed that through her performance. She was comfortable on stage. She had a good stage presence, and she embodied this character. She had a good look for it and everything. So she did a really good job.
Just her facial expressions alone. I mean, from head to toe, she covered that character. There was not a moment she was off character while she was on stage. She had that nailed down. And
that takes us into Melanie Bishop, who I think is a brilliant actress. I've seen her in one other thing. It was almost the same kind of character because of the same kind of time. But she played Sylvia Fowler, or Mrs. Howard Fowler, and she nailed it. She nails this type of character, the very chatty, gossipy friend, who is kind of passive aggressive. She's the kind of person she'll talk to you in front of your face and you won't even know because she's so nice about it. And not even nice, it's just the way she says it. And not in tone, the words she uses. She knows what to say. That, she really digs one into you. But there's not much you can say because you're like, did she really?
Right.
So it's that kind of character.
She was so quick, too.
Very quick, yes. She had this character, that, the choices she made with movements and her vocal style, her voice that she was using for this character, she, hands down, she nailed this character. Because, again, this is the first time I'd seen the stage production. But Rosalind Russell did this in the film production, and she may have used that as reference as well. But she definitely made this character her own.
Yes. And like I was saying before about women getting on other women because they're not going to change their place, that was a big thing for her character. And you could tell, it was almost like personally, this is how good she was. It was like she loved that, to make someone else miserable because they couldn't do anything about it. She like you said, she perfectly embodied this character.
Yes.
And she was another one from head to toe, on stage, on character, beginning to end, never faltered.
Very comfortable, very
Yes.
confident in this role, and she really knocked it out of the ballpark. Let's see, for the sake of time, we're going to talk about a couple more of these actresses. There are two. Well, actually, let's talk about Crystal Allen. Crystal Allen was played by Kelly Podsednik, and who we'd seen also in another kind of role. And she actually plays Crystal Allen, who is the other woman. For those in the know, this was the Joan Crawford character in the movie. So, special place in my heart. But she too, she got the character down. She was like the shop girl. Just like the Joan Crawford characters, and I hate to compare because she did make this character her own. She knew what she wanted. She knew what was right and wrong, but she went after it anyway. And Kelly, she too embodied this character and made it her own, and was able to get that across. Get this pretty horrible woman, get that across to the audience.
Right. Like you said, she was the other woman. She did a great job of, again, being able to attack another woman because they're not going to risk their place.
Right.
She knew the wife would never come. Well, she figured the wife would never come after her.
Right.
And she had the slyness and tactfulness to
That,
her.
yes.
And when she got mad, her words dripped with venom.
Yes.
She was
and just
great.
the right amount of sleaziness, but yet still classy. As a classy trashiness is what she had, and Kelly Podsednik, she really pulled that character off really nicely. Now, a couple of highlights for me. I don't know if you might have different ones. A couple of highlights for me were Christina Holmes, who played Jane, who was Mary's maid. It was really just a supporting kind of role,
right.
but I couldn't take my eyes off her. She gave such a good performance. She was that Irish maid, and she had the dialect down, the accent, and just her choices that she made for the character. Just my eyes were drawn to her when she was on stage. She did such a good job. She was so dedicated to the part that I was very pleased with her performance.
Right. Well, I'm going to say I think we agree on our highlights. And when it came to that, like you said, there's so much more to this actress, but just to hit one important thing, the accent alone. That thick Irish accent, not a British or not any accent's easy to do.
Right.
But an Irish dialect takes time to get. That's not one you can just pick up and go with, and she did amazing with that. Just her whole performance.
And they did have a dialect coach, or accent dialect coach, who was Sherry Owen Brown, who was a Baltimore theater veteran. She's done a lot, so kudos to Sherry Owen if you helped her out with that. That was a great job. And the other highlight for me was Suzanne Young, who played Countess Delage. This character is absolutely hilarious. I found myself laughing out loud, and not afraid to laugh out loud just because of what she was doing on stage, what this actress was doing on stage. She really, really made this character her own, and she was not afraid to run with it. Right. She had some great one-liners. Her comedic timing was on point. That just made it all the better. And like a couple of her lines, one that just sticks out to me is she was talking about one of her husbands that pushed her down a mountain on a ski trip, and she was like, I was halfway down the mountain before I realized he didn't love me. And that's how this character was. She just was oblivious to everything, but she so much believed in love that it was funny.
Right.
Like she everything was l'amour. That's what it was. That was her kind of catchphrase, l'amour, l'amour. And she just believed in love so much and loved the idea, I guess, of being in love, that she got herself into trouble sometimes with it. Yeah. But the way she played this character, I mean, this actress, Suzanne Young, it's almost like, she didn't mind making a fool of herself on stage.
No,
and those are the best kind of actors for me. I love seeing an actor that does it for the bigger picture. Is not afraid to be a fool on stage. Right. And Suzanne Young, kudos on this performance. It was truly a highlight of this.
Just her portrayal of, whatever term, blissful ignorance, like you were talking about when it came, she wouldn't even, she almost admit that love was too much, or no one could fall out of love with it.
Exactly.
That's what she loved, and then she would realize it, but like you said, her comedic timing, the blissful ignorance, the way she embodied this character, what she did with it, made her own, was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, everything about it was great. And, the entire ensemble did a fantastic job.
Yes.
They were strong ensemble. even there are a couple of characters that only had a couple of parts, but I think every actress on that stage had at least 3 costume changes.
Oh yeah.
So
if not more.
Going back to Mr. Malone and his team, fantastic job.
Yes.
But the entire ensemble was strong, and they put on it was a very well put together show. Fuzz Rourke put on a very good show, and the story got across. He seemed to understand the story. The actresses understood their characters and what they were going through, and just made for a really delightful evening of theater.
Absolutely.
So, The Women is going to be playing at Spotlighters again until March 19th, so you still have time to go see it. Get your tickets now, because I highly recommend it. And Spotlighters Theater is at 817 St. Paul Street, and you can get your tickets by going online to spotlighters.org, or you can give them a call at the box office at 410-752-1225. So, go get your tickets now. You don't want to miss this one this season. It's a great show, funny, poignant, everything you want in a stage production. So, thank you very much for joining us, and until next time, this is Backstage Banter.
There's no business like show business, like no business I know. Everything about it is appealing, everything the traffic will allow. Nowhere can you get that happy feeling.